workers. They are very highly skilled in sewing and cutting and putting everything together. And I think that the trend that started like 10 years ago about sartorial clothes and high quality clothes. The point is that a lot of the brands that until 10 years ago were considered luxury, they went a little bit mass market or mainstream. So whatever we really did was to stay at the tip of the pyramid and do really something that is very, very high quality. Not because of the price point or anything else, but really because we are committed to something that is very high quality. We believe that we should really preserve craftsmanship. Italy is about craftsmanship. If you take out craftsmanship from the made in Italy, then there is no made in Italy. So the point is to preserve those jobs. The point is to make that actually kind of cool in a certain way, so the new young generations wants to become a tailor, wants to become somebody that has to do with beautiful fabrics and stitching and everything else. And that's what actually we did. 15 years ago, if you look at the factories in Italy or in the Naples area where everything is done by hand, the average age of a tailor was 60, 65 years old. Today is 25, 29, 30. So it's a great thing that is happening, that is to create jobs for new generations that now sees to be a tailor or to be a seamstress like a very good thing that can be very make them to earn very good money and develop skills that are unique skills. So that's our philosophy a little bit, of course. And then when we talk about fabrics, we only use the best fabrics, no chemicals. So we really try to make it in the best way possible.
But in fact, you're from Bari, but your sartoria è a Napoli.
Yes.
Come è cominciata? How did it start this for you? Tell us a little bit about you and where are your stores and why not in Italy? You don't have stores in Italy, right?
No, let's say not yet.
Not yet, but you're basically you launched your designs here in America. This was the starting point.
We like to say that we started with already a global point of view, and the point was at the time Italy or America, the effort would have been the same, and we thought that the American market actually would respond better. But in a nutshell, for different. The connection to fashion started with my grandmother. My grandmother had a fashion company already in the south of Italy, in Andria, that is a place near Bari, in Puglia. For all the people that know where Andria is 35 kilometers from Bari, and Bari is in this beautiful place called Puglia, that is on the same level of Naples, but on the Adriatic coast, on the east coast, while Naples is on the west coast, but it's only a couple of hours by car. And so my grandmother was already in fashion in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and up to the 70s, and she always told me and my brother, don't do anything related to this because it's a lot of work and you're never going to make a lot of money. And I listened to that for a few years, but then I was drawn back to my roots, and so 15 years ago I started getting involved already in fashion, and the idea was to really put together a collection that was very high-end, very quality. And the point was that to go from Bari to Naples, from Andria to Naples, the step was very short, because number one, from the south of Italy is known for that, for everything that is based on handwork and craftsmanship. Not for any particular reasons, because historically the machines and the factories and the people with the money were in the north of Italy. So while the north had the money to buy the machine, the south didn't have it, and the south of Italy didn't have it. So they had no other alternative to start sewing by hand. And now, 70 years later, 80 years later, that we turn that in an asset, meaning a certain. When we went back to talk about quality, all of a sudden, whatever was handmade, that not only in clothes, if you think about Ferrari, the interiors of the Ferrari are all hand-stitched by hand, the engine is done by hand and everything else. So there is a value in the craftsmanship that we don't want to lose. And I think that the new generations or the new century will be about preserving those skills and work together with the computer when the computer is needed, but still when you go to the high end, only the human hands can do certain things. So the idea was to work in an area in the south, and Naples was the center and is still the center of whatever is handmade, because there are a lot of tailors that were working in that area, a lot of seamstresses. So many companies in the Naples area at a certain point they start putting together all these tailors under the same roof, and the seamstresses under the same roof, and now start producing. And this vibe or this wave or this trend of sartorial clothes from Italy develop everywhere in the world. I was at the time, I'm talking about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, traveling to the United States a lot.
You were in New York a lot, right?
I was in New York a lot.
You even had a magazine, you were a journalist.
Yes, I was. New York also, as for every Italian, is the ultimate destination, you know. And so the idea was to come to New York and do something interesting. By education, I'm a lawyer. I have a law degree in Italy, and I work for an American law firm in the north of Italy.
I didn't know you were a lawyer.
I had my 10 years of educations and let's say legal profession. So following my grandmother advice not to get into fashion, or at least not right away.
Yeah.
So I did my experience. I moved to Milan from Andria to Milan. I worked for an American law firm. I was there for 4 years. As I said, they shipped me to New York, to their office in New York, and to have a master's degree in laws in New York at New York University. When I finished my master's degree, they asked me to stay in their office in New York, where I stayed for 6 years. And what was really interesting was that all of a sudden we developed an amazing Italian clientele at my law firm in New York, and the name of the law firm was Baker McKenzie. So all of a sudden I was now representing 90% of the Italian fashion companies doing business in the United States. So from Versace to Della Valle to Tod's to Hugo Boss, that is owned by Marzotto, to the Italian Trade Commission, to many other Italian companies, and especially in fashion. So the idea was, in a certain way, I got back close to fashion again, and at a certain point I decided that I paid my dues. I did my 10 years of education and law, and now I wanted to go back what my family was doing. So I went back to Italy and I started investing in companies in Naples, because I wanted to do the most high-end product out of Italy, because I thought that in order to justify the made in Italy, the only thing we can bring to the table is craftsmanship and quality. For fast clothes, then there are other countries.
Which you're wearing Domenico Vacca, right?
Yes, I'm committing to.
If you can see, I'm just as he's talking, I'm looking at the stitches on his. That's what he's talking about.
We like stitching, handmade stitching.
Stitching. You can see it on the collar.
And so we brought that in our collections, and we started with companies in Naples. And since I was already in the United States, and I was already in the United States for a number of years, I knew very well the American market. So we decided to start from New York, and we opened the company, the headquarters in New York, and the first store in New York on Fifth Avenue. And also because I'm talking about literally 10 years ago, we opened our first store in New York. Italy was going through one of the deepest recession. It was just a little bit after we went from the lira to euro, so there was a lot of problems in Italy. And America, on the other hand, was booming. And I thought it was the country that was very interesting, because there was a lot of purchasing power, and Americans wanted to be educated about how to get dressed and clothing. So that's what we did. This is the best market you can have, because other markets, there was the Russian market. Great, they had the money, but they were not educated about clothes, so it would have taken a lot of time. In Italy, everybody knows how to dress, so you cannot teach them that much. And on top of that, again, there was no many people with purchasing power and money in Italy. So we decided to start from the United States and taste our concept around in the United States. Also because we started with an idea that the concept of what we were doing was supposed to go around the globe anyway. So, you know,
which you did. So now you have stores. Tell us
now
where.
we have 5 stores in the United States. We have 2 stores in New York.
One, by the way, here in Los Angeles, a store is at the corner of Santa Monica and Rodeo Drive. A beautiful store, quite large and very
we're
airy and
lucky
nice.
to find a great corner
Very,
on the Rodeo Drive.
Corner.
And then we have 2 stores in New York, one on 5th and one on Madison Avenue. They are the 2 big fashion avenues of New York and the United States. Then we went down to Florida. We have a great store in Palm Beach in Florida that is kind of the equivalent of Capri or or Positano, if you want, more Capri in the United States. So very, very nice place. And then Miami, where
Where you have a house too.
where I have an house too, yes, in Miami.
One of these days you have to invite me to your house in Miami.
You're already invited.
I want to come to your house.
You're already
in Miami.
invited. We have a very nice place, and